You think people in the United States think that their lives are plagued by Nicolas Maduro being in charge of Venezuela? You think this war is for them, is to benefit American citizens? No one can really possibly think that. And I'll just say this before I just delve into this last point or two, which is that I can promise you there are a lot of Trump supporters who have been saying no more regime change wars, no more regime change wars, no neocons, spend our money at home. And now they're like, yeah, kill the narco terrorists. Does anyone have any doubt about the following? Let's imagine a situation where there was pressure on Trump to go to war in Venezuela. Let's say like Tom Cotton and Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio, who was still in the Senate, and some of the warmongers in the Democratic Party joined together and said, we want you to go invade Venezuela and change the government of Venezuela. Let's imagine if Trump said, no, I'm not going to go do that. Those are the regime change policies that have plagued our country, put us into debt. I'm not going to go start a war to change the government of Venezuela. That's not for us to do. Let's imagine a world where that happened. Do you think there's even one single Trump supporter now cheering Trump's new war in Venezuela who would be criticizing Trump and saying, how dare you stand up to the neocons and the warmongers and refuse to go invade Venezuela? No, they'd be cheering him for that. If Trump opposes bombing Yemen, they cheer that. If Trump starts bombing Yemen, they cheer that. If Trump says, I'm not going to go to Venezuela and change the government, they would cheer that. If he says, let's go to Venezuela, we have to change the government, they cheer that. Obviously, not all Trump supporters are like that. A lot of them have objected. Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of them, which is why Trump wants her out of Congress, drove her out of Congress. Thomas Massey, Rand Paul. Rand Paul's against the regime change war in Venezuela. He has to go too. And it's not just Trump supporters. I mean, I've been working as a journalist for 20 years. I've seen 4 changes of administration. I started with Bush and Cheney, went to Obama, went from Obama to Trump 1, went from Trump 1 to Biden, now Biden to Trump 2. And every single time you watch these partisans denounce policies when the other party is in power, say, we're going to get into power and not do that. They get into power and do it. And suddenly they start cheering the very policies they pretended to oppose. So it's not just the Trump movement that does that, but it's just cult-like behavior. And a lot of it, that's what you're seeing. And Trump is counting on that. Trump knows that his supporters are angry about Epstein. They're angry about the cost of living. They're angry about, a lot of them are about supporting Israel. They're angry about a lot of things. So it's like, let's give them bad guys. We're going to blow up bad guys. We know everybody likes to cheer that. People get a sense of self-esteem and purpose. And that's what you're seeing a lot of. Anybody who is inclined to believe that this somehow has to do with the flow of drugs into the United States should be embarrassed for all the reasons I've already said. But it's like Trump is almost like conducting a game, like an experiment. How far can he rub the faces of his own supporters and the fact that he's lying to them and see how they just refuse to realize it? Because just a few days ago, claiming that we have to go to war in Venezuela because Nicolas Maduro, even though no one ever said it before, is some mastermind, sophisticated drug dealer. Trump just pardoned one of the most malicious and destructive actual drug traffickers from that same region, Latin America. He pardoned them. The president of Honduras, the former president of Honduras, who was convicted with ample evidence, not just that people in his country were sending drugs into the United States, but that he himself was overseeing the drug trafficking ring and benefiting from it. And the U.S. arrested him and put him on trial, and he was convicted. And Trump announced a pardon of him just 3 days ago as he's pretending that he's concerned about the drug supply into the U.S. from Latin America, that he has to go to war with Maduro over it. He just pardoned the person who was actually flooding the United States with drugs. Here's Trump on Truth Social, November 28th. And by the way, he's also, as he's doing this, he's also interfering in the Honduras election, telling Honduras, if you vote for the candidate I want, we're going to give you a lot of money. And if you don't vote for the candidate I want, we're going to withdraw our support. Here's what he said, quote, if Tito Asfora, who's the mayor of Honduras' largest city, wins for president of Honduras, because the United States has so much confidence in him, his policies, and what he will do for the great people of Honduras, we will be very supportive. If he doesn't win, the United States will not be throwing good money after bad, because a wrong leader can only bring catastrophic results to a country, no matter which country it is. Tito will be a great president, and the United States will work closely with him in order to ensure the success with all of its potential of Honduras. Additionally, by the way, I will be granting a full and complete pardon to former President Juan Orlando Hernandez, who is in, as for his party, who has been, according to many people that I greatly respect, treated very harshly and unfairly. This cannot be allowed to happen, especially now after Tito Asfora wins the election, when Honduras will be on its way to great political and financial success. Vote for Tito Asfora for president, and congratulations to Juan Orlando Hernandez on your upcoming pardon. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make Honduras great again. So we're pouring lots of money into Honduras. Trump is promising to pour more money into Honduras, wants to make Honduras great again. And as part of this little scheme to control the elections in Honduras, decided to pardon one of the most toxic and destructive narco-terrorists, if you will, that the United States has caught in the last however many years. Here's the United States U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York in June of 2024. Quote, Juan Orlando Hernandez, former president of Honduras, is sentenced to 45 years in prison for conspiring to distribute more than 400 tons of cocaine and related firearm offenses. Here's the U.S. District Court, an American court, federal court in the Southern District of New York, issuing their sentencing memo for why they're imposing a 45-year term on Hernandez. It's obviously a very significant prison term. The court said this, quote, following a 3-week trial, the defendant was convicted of 1, participating in a conspiracy to import cocaine into the United States, 2, using machine guns and destructive devices in furtherance of his drug traffic offenses, and 3, participating in a conspiracy to carry and use machine guns and destructive devices in furtherance of his drug traffic offense. The proof underlying this conviction laid bare that the defendant and his co-conspirators played a vital role in flooding the United States with cocaine. That's who Trump's pardoning, the guy who was flooding the United States with cocaine, while on the other hand, the same day he's telling you we have to start a new war in Venezuela because Maduro's flooding the United States with cocaine and we can't tolerate that. The court went on, quote, for more than a decade, the defendant abused his political power to operate Honduras, a country of roughly 10 million people, as a narco state. The defendant's rise was fueled by millions of dollars in drug money from some of the largest and most violent cocaine traffickers in the world. To accomplish this, the defendant protected his co-conspirators from arrest and extradition, allowing them to send at least 400 tons of cocaine to the United States to commit unspeakable acts of violence and to cause rampant destruction in Honduras through their violent narcotics trafficking. The defendant was propelled to power with drug money. Some of the most prolific violent traffickers in the world were his partners and political allies. Those include Ardon, the National Party mayor of El Paraiso, who admitted to trafficking 250 tons of cocaine and his role in 56 murders. And it even includes Chapo, the head of the Sinaloa cartel, who trafficked over 1,000 tons of cocaine to the United States and who personally supported the defendant with a $1 million bribe. And it was even his own brother who was personally responsible for 2 murders, and it was the defendant's own brother and confederate in corruption and crime. This was all reported at the time here from the New York Times, October 2019. El Chapo was said to have given $1 million to the Honduran president's brother. You can't possibly believe this is a war to stop the flow of drugs. I can't believe anybody who ever has watched my show, has ever read an article I've written, would allow their brains to believe that in light of all of what's happening, what you can see in front of you. Thanks for watching this clip from System Update, our live show that airs every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Rumble. You can catch the full nightly shows live or view the backlog of episodes for free on our Rumble page. You can also find full episodes the morning after they air across all major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Apple. All the information you need is linked below. We hope to see you there.